Hello and welcome to Morning Brew on Politics Social. I'm Graham Hughes. Sorry for keeping you waiting there for a moment. I was just faffing about. I was literally faffing. Well, I was trying to get the lowdown on the show tonight. We're doing a special edition of Refuck Watch with a councillor, Ed Kimberley, who is a Labour councillor. In fact, he's the leader, I think, of the Labour the Labour party, the Labour section of the council in Worcestershire, and he's gone up against the Refuckers. So we'll be speaking to him at 6:00 tonight on a special edition. Me and Ollie, we'll be talking to him on a special edition of Refuck Watch, so please look out for that. Okay, so now that that's sorted, we can get on with today's show. Yay! It is Thursday, the 19th of February, 2026. My name is Graham Hughes, as I might have already said. You're watching Morning Brew on Politics Social. Hope you're having an okay morning. It's overcast here at the moment. I mean, that might change. I don't know. In the meantime, we've got some wonderful people in the chat. We've got Diz in blue. We've got Graham Haller in is that pink? We've got Ms. Paula Thomas. We've got Pete's Music. We've got L Butterfly Effect. Martin Hauer in there. We've got Witchy Goth. We've got Viper Scott. We've got Alex French saying late. The Wizard is never late. Nor is he early. Just arrives exactly when he means to. Although I'm not a wizard, so I don't know what my excuse is. So, ladies and gents, welcome to the show. Today we're going to be talking about the Chagos Islands, or the Chagos Islands. I'm going to call them the Chagos Islands. Your mileage may vary on the pronunciation there, but I'm going to talk about it because I think it's quite interesting. And we need to get into the rambling message that Trump put on his media, his Trump media, or whatever the fuck it's called, yesterday, which was absolutely bonkers. So we'll get to that in a minute. But first of all, I would like to say, before we get to the main story, I would like to just say a couple of good news stories, right, that are on the BBC this morning that I noticed. And I want to share these with you because I feel like we spend a lot of time going, oh shit, the world is fucked and everything's fucked and God, we're all going to die. And it's nice sometimes to have just a couple of nice things that are happening in the world and or funny things that we can take a bit of schadenfreude from. So let's go ahead and do that now. First of all, in China, there's a big article about the growth of solar power in China, and it's got a map that you can scroll down the map and see the difference in how many solar farms there were in 2010 when there was like 2 to now when there's like thousands and they're huge, and the amount of power that these things are making. And it's talking about how while America is retreating from its obligations when it comes to the environment, China is pressing forward with it to make cheap renewable electricity. And they're like, oh, but it's getting subsidized by this. Yeah. Do you know what, right? Fucking nuclear power plants were subsidized by whatever state had a fucking nuclear power plant in all through the 20th century. Nuclear weapons were subsidized by the taxpayer. The Cold War was subsidized by the Iraq invasion, the Iraq war, the Afghan war was funded by the taxpayer. It was socialized warfare, all right? The idea that for some reason, because wind turbines and solar are green energy, you can't invest them. Are you kidding me? Look at all the subsidies that we've given to the North Sea fucking oil gas platforms. Do we get any? Do we get any fucking money from that? Do we fuck? British companies might, but then they scribble away their profits somewhere else. They don't pay the right amount of tax, and we don't get a discount on the energy provided by North Sea oil on our petrol, on our gas, or anything that we use. We don't get a discount. We pay the international going rate. It's an absolute racket. So yeah, really interesting article, and one in the eye for those dickheads who used to say, why are we doing anything about climate change? The Chinese are. Look what the Chinese are doing. The Chinese are doing. Well, okay, well, look at them, what they're doing now. They're investing fucking billions of yuan in the solar panels and in the wind turbines, which I still think, and I'm going to keep saying this till it's done, we should, any onshore wind farms, right, they should paint the the blades so they look like propellers of a Spitfire, like painted with a rundle, is it called, in the middle of it, and then put some lines on the outside of the blades so it looks like a fucking Spitfire. Honestly, all these old twats who are like, I love Spitfires, I hate wind farms. They'll be like, oh my God, I'm so conflicted. It's a wind farm, but it's also a Spitfire. Ah! Be brilliant. Below that, it'll fry their noodle. Talking of frying people's noodles, there was another story as well which caught my attention. Now, we spoke a couple of weeks ago about the fact that Musk's Starlink satellite system has finally been shut off to Russian forces. So Russians were using the Starlink satellites to kill innocent Ukrainian civilians and also to bomb defensive positions along the front and the Ukrainian side. Precision drone attacks that were being carried out via the Starlink relay network. So Ukraine have said to Starlink, can you stop fucking letting the Russians have access to this technology? And so surprisingly, I guess Elon Musk, his Starlink company, said, okay, then we'll block all Starlink satellites unless they have a Ukrainian IP or connection number. So they did this, right? And the attack capability of the Russians has been cut by 50%. Like that's it overnight, just by turning off that switch, right? So they're on the back foot anyway. But this is brilliant. This is chef's kiss. Okay, so over a bunch of Ukrainian hacktivists, right, got online and started messaging the Russian troops on their side of the whatever, and saying to them, if you come into a private chat with me, I will give you these codes, right? So you can access where these where the satellites are, so you can access the satellites, right? And so they got them into these private chats, and then they said, okay, give us your details, and we'll get you sorted, and then they got the details, passed them on to the Ukrainian military, who then used those addresses to pinpoint exactly where the soldiers were along the front, and over 2,000 positions along the front gave up. The soldiers along the front gave up their positions to the Ukrainians. But it gets better. It gets even better, because you think, well, that's bloody awesome, isn't it? So not only did they manage to steal their access to they managed to take their access to the Starlink satellites, they also managed to use the desperation of the Russian soldiers to ID exactly where they were, like pinpoint accuracy. They charged them up to $5,000 a time for them to give up their own positions. Because they were like, oh, you want these codes to get back onto the Starlink satellite network? Okay, well, don't worry, I'll sort that out, but it'll cost you $5,000. That's some Milo minder-binder shite going on right there. But could you imagine, during World War II, if Alan Turing was on his way to work one day and then some Nazi came over and went, I'm having trouble with my Enigma machine. I wonder if you could help me with it. And Alan Turing's like, yeah, sure, it'll cost you £5,000 though. And he's like, oh, yes, cheap. And Alan Turing's like this. Fucking morons. Anyway, so that's how the Ukrainian situation's going down, coming up to the 4th anniversary of the invasion of Ukraine, well, full-scale invasion of Ukraine by Russia. A war that's not going away anytime soon, even though Donald Trump said day one he's going to end that war. Day one. What are you up to now? Day 300 and 87? My God. Do we have to talk about Trump? Can we talk more about kids' toys? Pygmalion, I'd love to, but that's for the rabbit hole. That's for the rabbit hole. To anyone watching the rabbit hole last night, I completed a Rubik's Cube live on air. Everyone was very impressed. We're going to talk about Diego Garcia. We're going to talk about the Chagos Islands. We're going to talk about the British Indian Overseas Territories. So, I'll talk first of all about the history and the geography of the place and why it matters. So, there's about 60 islands in the central Indian Ocean, roughly halfway between East Africa and Indonesia, south of Sri Lanka, south of India, and about 1,250 miles northeast of Mauritius, 5,800 miles from the UK, and it is called the British Indian Ocean Territory, also known as the Chagos Archipelago. It's Chagos Islands, so 60 islands in the Indian Ocean, the largest island of which is called Diego Garcia. It is the largest island. It's a footprint-shaped atoll of about 44 square kilometers, and it hosts a UK-US military base. It's got a deep water port. It's got a long runway. It's got weapon storage. It's got submarine reload capability. And it's used for space tracking as well, which is handy because it's right on the equator, which just makes it easier to track stuff, apparently. It's used for refueling B-2 bombers after 9/11. It was used for launching strikes against Afghanistan and Iraq. It's used as a logistics hub for US operations across the Middle East, East Africa, and the Indo-Pacific region. It's essentially a full-time aircraft carrier, a solid ground aircraft carrier. And it's one of the very few places in the world capable of reloading submarines with Tomahawk missiles. It is very far from population centres, which is good because, I don't particularly like having nuclear submarines coming in fast lane, and the number of people around the world who have to live down the road from a big US military base, like the people in Djibouti City have to. Are you kind of like, is that really a good thing, having that big military base there? I don't know. It's it's a bit of a danger in case anything kicks off, isn't it? But also it's sort of politically insulated from any kind of regional instability out there. It's not. This isn't a dispute about a beach resort. This is about hard power and the projection of hard power in the Indian Ocean. And so to talk about this first, we need to talk about the origin story. The origin story, oh dear, which is how we got here. And yes, it involves the British being very British and going around, just killing everything. Don't forget, it was probably the British who killed the fucking, the dodo, The dodo, in Mauritius. Anyway, so in 1814, after the fall of Napoleon, after his catastrophic attempt to take Russia in 1812, the UK, a couple of years later, the UK took control of the territory from France. It was originally administrated as part of Mauritius, right? Which was then a British colony. And so that link with Mauritius has been there for a long time. But also there's a link there because of a cultural link. But some of the people from the Chagos Islands don't want to be part of Mauritius, and they don't want to be part of Britain either. They want to be their own independent country, which is something we might come to in a moment. In 1965, the UK separated the Chagos Archipelago from Mauritius, right? Just before Mauritian independence, and created the British Indian Ocean Territory. It paid Mauritius £3 million for the privilege, and Mauritius has argued that it was forced to accept this deal as a condition of independence. And declassified Foreign Office memos from the time described islanders of the Chagos Archipelago as some few Tarzans or Man Fridays. And the objective was to have no indigenous population except seagulls. Yeah, so if you think about it in terms of there was a bunch of people living on a bit of land and then Britain decided to get rid of all those people, you could definitely call it ethnic cleansing, because all those people who lived on that land were taken off that land against their will. So in the late 60s and the early 70s, around 1,000 to 2,000 Chagossians were forcibly relocated by British authorities. The dogs were rounded up and killed. Islanders were loaded onto cargo ships and they were resettled in Mauritius and Seychelles. The rationale was that the US wanted a base that didn't have any civilian population anywhere near it. During the Cold War, decolonization was accelerating. The US was worried about losing global basing rights, which is funny because it's got hundreds of bases around the world. But the secret deal, the sweetener for this, was that the US gave the UK a $14 million discount. This is in the 60s, don't forget, on Polaris nuclear missiles. But the human cost was generational displacement, poverty in Mauritius, a long legal fight for right of return, and some Chagossians were granted British citizenship in 2002 and settled in the UK, notably in Crawley. The UN advisory opinion later on, they deemed this unlawful and saying that the decolonisation of Mauritius was incomplete. And this is the moral pressure point behind today's deal. Okay, the UN said, listen, when you pulled out in the 60s, you couldn't just take a chunk of their land and say, we're not going to give you independence unless we get to keep a chunk of this land. It's funny, though, because that's basically what happened in other places around the world. But this was something that was held up as like that was unfair, that the British did that. So, but there's a base there. I think all things being equal, if there was no US, UK bloody military base there, then we wouldn't really care about this. It would just be like, okay, fair enough, you can have them. But it's not the case. Goose Springsteen, thank you very much. Late to the stream, but the Chagos deal was ridiculous in my opinion. Mauritius never occupied or had sovereignty over the island. They were jointly administered for the ease of administrative purposes. Yeah, but there are some places in the world that you could argue that as well. Like West Papua is probably the best example. So West Papua was a separate administration from the rest of the Dutch Spice Islands, which are now Indonesia. But they, and they got independence a decade or so after the rest of Indonesia, and the culture in West Papua is not Indonesian. It is they don't even look similar. They don't share the same religion. They don't share the same history or the same lineage or the same culture at all in any way, shape, or form. But also, don't forget when the Portuguese pulled out of East Timor or Timor-Leste in the 70s, then the Indonesians decided that we'll have that as well. I mean, they had West Timor already, and they thought we'll have East Timor, and obviously the war there went on for a long time. But it was unjust, and I think one of the things that we need to take into account in this is not just the fact that the Chagossians want to go home, but also the fact that borders are messy. These lines that are drawn around the world, and yes, we can say, oh, well, it was just a British administration. Yeah, every single border that exists on the continent of Africa was the British, the French, the Germans, the Dutch, the Portuguese, the Spanish, sitting around the conference table in Berlin in 1885 and going, we'll have that bit. They're all administrative lines. A few of them follow, I don't know, a few rivers like the Zambezi or the Limpopo, but most of them are just, they're straight lines pretty much, just especially at the top of the continent. So yeah, I mean, and I go back to the whole thing about Israel and Pakistan. These are countries that were just invented because all countries are invented. So looking at it now and going, well, they shouldn't get it because did they really, really have a claim over it? Well, I think it's up to the people to ask them, what they want. And I know there's some Chagossians who don't give a fuck. They just want to go home. There's ones that want it to be given to Mauritius for administrative purposes. There's some that want it to have independence. So, yeah, it's a difficult situation that Britain has put itself in. But maybe this could be the start of the breakaway republic of the of the Chagos Islands. Goose Springsteen, it would be like the Maldives, giving the Maldives to Sri Lanka in 1947. It's a union of disparate geographies and cultures because of imperialism and not in spite of it. The Chagossians are a distinct people. Yeah, and look, I understand, I completely understand, and I know that there are Chagossians who want independence for this archipelago, but at the moment, there's nothing there. There's I think it would be very, very difficult without the support of another nation, whether that's the UK or whether that's Mauritius, to actually make a go of it over there with the way things are at the moment. I don't know. I just think that it will be folly to say, okay, well, we're going to give them their own country now. It's going to be their independent state when there's no infrastructure, there's no ports, there's apart from obviously the actual base in Diego Garcia, but the rest of it has just been pretty much left to wildlife. Goose, another super chat. Thank you very much. Goose has been very generous this morning. I cannot help but feel like Starmer's close friendship with Philippe Sands, who has fought the case on behalf of Mauritius, has impeded his judgment. Well, Goose, but then this whole thing, as I'll come to in a bit, started under the Tories. The whole negotiation started under the Tories. It didn't start under Labour. They just picked it up halfway through because the Tories had already laid the groundwork for it. But let's talk about the base for a moment. I will circle back to that, Goose. Don't worry, I'm not ignoring you. The base, even though the British Indian Ocean Territory is British territory, UK officials have repeatedly deferred to the US for security decisions on the archipelago because of Diego Garcia. The US has blocked court access on security grounds. UK officials have admitted they cannot compel US authorities to grant access to parts of the facility. Diego Garcia looks British on paper, but in operational reality, it's overwhelmingly American. Even the currency is US dollars. Cars drive on the right. They use US sockets and they eat US food. Garbage. That matters when Trump says that land should not be taken away from the UK. And it's like, well, the UK doesn't fully control it. And Mauritius and, Philippe Sands have long argued that Chagos was illegally detached pre-independence and the UK must complete decolonization. There's also, there's other islands around. Mauritius is one called, I think, Rodriguez Islands. Yeah, it's this is a really difficult one, and I don't think there's any cut and short solution to it that's going to keep everyone happy. I just don't think that is possible at the moment. And I think about the Comoros Islands on the other side of Madagascar. So this is going on to the right of Madagascar, to the left of Madagascar, a little cluster of 4 islands called the Comoros Islands, and 3 of them are independent Comoros as an independent state, which became independent in the 70s, and one of them is French, Mayotte. It's French. It's a French territory. It's a French overseas territory. It's a French département. People who were born there are given French passports, and they want to stay French. So yeah, I mean, under normal circumstances, I'd be like, well, get the Chagossians together and let them decide. Do you want to be independent? Do you want to go with Mauritius? Do you want to stay with Britain? But be able to go home? But I don't know if that will be. I don't know if that'll be acceptable to the US. I don't know if that'll be acceptable to Mauritius. Yeah, it makes the whole thing a lot more difficult. And you can argue that it was clumped together, like many places were. Don't forget when the British first went to bloody India, like in under the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, there was no India as one country at the time. It was a bunch of warring states where Maharajas fought against the leaders of the neighbouring state, and so the idea of India being a one country is a fairly modern invention, and then it being split into 3, that's an even more modern invention, because of the cultural, the linguistic, the religious differences in different areas of India. It seems like something that shouldn't really work, but it does, kind of. As long as the Hindu nationalists don't go, let's go too crazy. But yeah, I think this is a really difficult decision. This is a really difficult situation. The International Court of Justice, the advisory opinion, said the UK must end the administration. The UN Committee on Racial Discrimination warned that ratifying the agreement may perpetuate historical violations. Meanwhile, this was all kicked off by some Sri Lankan Tamil asylum seekers who have been stranded on Diego Garcia since 2021. The costs of the UK are apparently reaching £50 million per year, and the UK is facing increasing international pressure. And the status quo is politically and financially expensive to keep doing what we're doing. If it is British territory, then by the rules of refugees, the refugees can claim asylum there. If it's not British, then we don't have to worry about it. The status quo is not working at the moment for us, for Britain, or for the Chagossians, or for the Mauritians, or for anyone really, except maybe the Americans, and they've not been our best mates recently. Anyway, the deal announced last May was the UK would cede sovereignty of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius, but it leases Diego Garcia back for 99 years, and it guarantees joint UK-US base operations. They get rid of the headache of it being a British territory, and therefore, if refugees can get there on a boat, they can claim asylum in the UK. And Starmer's argument is this is the only way to secure long-term operation of the base. It resolves the legal uncertainty, and it protects the interest of the UK and its allies, including the US. And this is, all part of the decolonization process. It is fucking messy. Don't forget, Eritrea was lumped in with Ethiopia. When Eritrea got independence, don't forget, Ethiopia was the only African country that was never colonized. It was invaded when it was Abyssinia by Mussolini. But Eritrea, which was an Italian colony, they were a separate entity. Eritrea is quite different from the rest of Ethiopia. They do share some cultural, linguistic, and religious things, but the population of Eritrea is 50%, thereabouts 50% Islamic, 50% Muslim, 50% Christian, whereas the vast majority of people in the rest of Ethiopia are Christian. The reason why the famine in the 1980s was so bad, the one that famously Band-Aids banded together to raise some money for, was because of the war that was going on. Because Eritrea, which was lumped in with the rest of Ethiopia, was trying to get independence. So yeah. Anyway, so like I say, it's not. I wouldn't say it was complicated. I just think it's difficult. It's a difficult diplomatic situation in which to make everyone happy is gonna, it is a bit of a nightmare to put it bluntly. Okay, so enter Donald Trump. Here's what he wrote. I'm going to read this to you because it's absolutely fucking bonkers, right? It reads like something a 12-year-old just wrote on the toilet. I have been telling Prime Minister Keir Starmer of the United Kingdom that leases, capital L, are no good when it comes to countries, capital C, and that he is making a big mistake by entering a 100-year lease, it's 99 years, but whatever, with whoever it is that is claiming right, title, and interest to Diego Garcia, strategically located in the Indian Ocean. Our relationship with the United Kingdom is strong and powerful one, and it has been for years. Is he going to put these sentences go on for a long time, don't they? But Prime Minister Starmer is losing control of this important island by claims of entities never known of before. I think he's talking about Mauritius. That country, that UN member of Mauritius. It's a great place. Been there. They've got a little dodo on the stamp of Mauritius when you go in. It's cool. But apparently no one's ever heard of it before. In our opinion, they are fictitious in nature. Sorry, so Mauritius is fictitious. I do like the rhyming there. That's good. You should become a rapper. Should Iran decide not to make a deal, it may be necessary for the United States to use Diego Garcia and the airfield located in Fairford in order to eradicate a potential attack by a highly unstable and dangerous regime. An attack that would potentially be made on the United Kingdom as well as other friendly countries. What are you talking about? How is Iran going to attack us? Prime Minister Starmer should not lose control for any reason of Diego Garcia by entering a tenuous, at best, 100-year lease. Why is it tenuous? We had a 100-year lease on Hong Kong. We only gave it up when we wanted to. The US had a 100-year lease on the, well, nearly 100-year lease on the Panama Canal. What this land should not be taken away from the UK, and if it is allowed to be, it will be a blight on our great ally, capital A, G, capital A. We will always be ready, willing, and able to fight for the UK, but they have to remain strong in the face of wokeism and other problems put before them. Do not give away Diego Garcia. This was a month after he had said about it. One day earlier, the US State Department had officially supported the deal. Trump previously called it the best deal Starmer could make. Earlier still, he called it an act of great stupidity because he changes his mind every fucking day because he's mercurial. Wokeism. It's all because of wokeism. I don't think it is. I think this is just what international politics sometimes looks like. Miss Paula Thomas, it's the same kind of deal done over in Hong Kong in the 19th century. It puts off the problem for future generations. Yeah. But, I mean, it's the same system they've got in fucking Guantanamo Bay. They've got this little enclave, I don't know, of Cuba. What's the problem? Do not give it away because he's obsessed with like everything's got to be a property deal, hasn't it? He's obsessed with property deals. It's just fucking crazy. And the press secretary Caroline Leavitt said that two social posts should be taken as official policy of the USA. One demented old, disgusting sex pest, some grotesque, stupid, idiotic, rich, nepo baby blob of a Harkonnen sitting there covered in oil, covered in his fucking bronzer, shining there bright fucking orange like he's just been hanging outside a leaking nuclear power station for too long. This is grotesque. This is absolutely grotesque that one man can have so much fucking power. What are you doing, America? What are you doing? But what is the US policy here? The State Department says that it supports the deal. The president is publicly attacking it. The president is hinting at military use against Iran, which is another story that we might come to later. But this ambiguity is destabilizing for the allies, and I think he thinks that because we're doing this lease deal, then he's not going to be able to use it to attack Iran this weekend, right? You are. Because that's the whole point. It's a lease. You get to keep using the base. And I've got a question for you, right? I mean, the country of Mauritius, right? I don't know about you, but I don't really think they're capable of attacking a US base on one of their islands to try and take it back. How's that going to work? How are they going to get within 100 miles of this place? Like, have they got a secret submarine fleet that we don't know about? One of the reasons why we're doing this is to try and keep Mauritius on board with us, with the UK, I suppose with the US, although the US doesn't want this deal, and stop them, making closer ties with Russia and China. We were not necessarily our strategic allies in the long run. Do you know what I mean? Especially not Russia. Not great. But we had Priti Patel calling this whole thing a humiliation for Starmer, which is, again, the Tories started negotiations in 2021. Ed Davey said it proves the UK cannot rely on the US under Trump and pushed for closer ties to Europe. Go ahead, Ed. And Nigel Farage pulled his head out of Trump's arse for a moment and praised Trump, and then said to cancel the deal, and then he put his head, he put his hat back on, which is Donald Trump. The Chagossians, some of them opposed the transfer to Mauritius. 4 recently landed on a remote atoll in protest in the Chagos Islands, and removal orders have been issued. This isn't neat geopolitics. It's messy. It's messy. It's not particularly complex. It's just messy. We're talking about a a tesseract of colonial justice, of military strategy, of UK party politics, of US electoral fucking kayfabe fucking theatre, and the needs and the desires of and the justice desired by the diaspora communities from the Chagos archipelago. So, but the strategic reality is Diego Garcia matters because it's a secure logistics node far away from the missile range of most US adversaries. It supports Indo-Pacific operations, it supports Middle East contingencies, it provides reload capability for submarines and refuel capabilities for ships, and it also allows for space tracking and intelligence. If from a US perspective, losing guaranteed operational control will be catastrophic. From the UK perspective, if legal sovereignty is consistently challenged, operational certainty is threatened anyway. We're damned if we do, and we're damned if we don't. But the reality is that even though, as I've said, the UK, apparently this is part of a UK territory, the US runs the place, and we have to ask them permission to do anything on our own island, because that's the deal that we've done with the US. So the lease is designed to stabilize that, and it's not going to change anything materially on the ground for the people working on the base. They're going to continue on for the next 99 years if they live that long. But also, having this deal with Mauritius, although it will cede, sovereignty of the islands back to Mauritius, or giving it to Mauritius, or whatever, which way you want to look at it. Even though that's the case, I mean, let's face it, if it was clumped together with Mauritius in 1814, that makes it older than Belgium. Just saying. But if the UK want to give the sovereignty to if we give the sovereignty to Mauritius, it means that the Chagossians can go home. They can go back to their home because we won't own it anymore. We won't be telling them not to be there. So it's not the perfect solution for Chagossians who want to go back to their archipelago, but it's halfway there. It's 50% of what you want, I guess. So according to the press secretary, that video is US policy. What the video of Obama and Michelle Obama, Barack and Michelle Obama as monkeys. Yeah, that's official US policy now. What a time to be alive. Time for some confetti. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you, Miss Paula Thomas. Confetti! Okay, right. So thanks very much for setting the confetti cannon off. Big ups to Miss Paula Thomas and to Goose Springsteen for chipping in there this morning. But let's talk about this relationship that we have with Trump. I mean, like I said earlier, like having such a mercurial ally is fucking exhausting. It's like a character from a satirical TV show or a movie who just changes their mind every fucking day. You sir, bring me my underwear. I want blue underwear today. And they turn up. I wanted red underwear. Why are you turning up with it? I hate you. You are the worst. You know, that kind of like temper tantrum. Queen Elizabeth in Blackadder. That kind of like the Favourite. If you watch the movie The Favourite, that kind of like, just ridiculous pouting, my super sweet 16 kind of tantrum throwing wank. Like, if you ever watch My Super Sweet 16, it did really set us up for the Trump era. This was a show on MTV. It was like a reality TV show which followed the trials and tribulations of these super fucking rich Nepo babies leading up to their 16th birthday. And there's a famous scene in it where the mum buys the kid like a fucking expensive car, like $100,000 fucking car, like a really fucking boss, brand new top of the range car, right? Because the super rich parents can buy like super rich kids anything they want, right? And this girl, she bursts into tears. It's like, what is it, darling? What is it, sweetie? I didn't want it today. I wanted it tomorrow. And you're watching it going, are you fucking kidding me? This little brat is about to turn 16. is upset with her mum because she saw the car the day before she was supposed to get the car being worth more than most of us earn in about 3 years of work. I wanted it tomorrow. It's the wrong colour. I didn't want it that colour. That's what Trump is. My super sweet 16, but they made him the fucking president of the United States. And when we have like the president of the United States publicly contradicting his own State Department, changing his position from like one thing to the other within days, framing UK decisions as weakness, insulting the UK in public, these are discussions that might go on in behind closed doors in diplomatic circles. You don't put it on the fucking internet. Using the UK's internal debates with domestic messaging and, injecting Iran into the Chagos debate. I mean, what the fuck? This really pisses me off because I'm a great believer in, like, private matters should fucking stay private. Do you know what I mean? Put public fucking statements out that, we're good. This country's just full of knobheads. Who does that? We don't do that. We don't put out, our Prime Minister does not put official statements out going, we've come to the conclusion that fucking Donald Trump is a mad old twat. Like he's got fucking dementia. That he's a psychopathic Nepo baby. Emphasis on the word baby there, who runs his fucking country like a fucking tyrant. I mean, I'm sure they'd love to say that. And I'm sure they say that behind closed doors, but leave it behind closed doors. I hate it. Even celebrities, when they air their fucking grievances in public or, do their washing in public, dirty washing in public, I'm like, fuck off. Just, if you've got a conversation to have it. But you don't put it on True fucking Social. So anyway, for the UK, I mean, we've been negotiating for fucking years on this. We consulted Washington. We've got the okay. We've got the thumbs up from Washington. We've received official UK backing. And then the president undermined us publicly. In the most public way possible. And this creates strategic uncertainty, market nervousness, obviously diplomatic embarrassment, domestic political ammunition for the opposition, which is probably why he did this, because obviously Farage can go, yes, you've got a point, we're ceding our empire. We used to have an amazing empire, and now we've got these specks of land in the Indian Ocean that's really important that we keep. These specks of land that no British person can go to. Okay. I mean, that is it, isn't it? Like, the argument on the right in this country is, you can't have the can't give away these rocks. We can't give away these atolls in the Indian Ocean. Talking of atolls, may I go on a little segue, but not like the inventor of Segways or the owner of Segway, who went off a cliff on a Segway. That happened. Atolls are interesting, aren't they? They're like a circle. They're like a drawn circle of sort of coral reefs in the sea. And it was postulated by a guy on a boat called the HMS Beagle back in the 1800s. He was sailing across the Pacific and they saw some of these atolls, and he climbed up on the crow's nest. He looked at them and he went, I reckon, got no evidence, but, I'm pretty good at putting two and two together. I'm pretty good at spotting patterns and things, coming to some logical conclusions from the evidence of my eyes and ears. And he got up on the crow's nest and he looked at these atolls. And he went, I reckon that's the top of an ancient volcano that once poked out above the sea, just a little bit. The ring is the ring around the top of a volcano. And then essentially all the rest of it, the volcano, because obviously a volcano pushes up the ground, so the ground is all silt and sand and stuff. It's going to wash away over the, and it's just kind of left this little top bit of the volcano, and that's what he thought. That's how he thought that atolls were created. He thought it was the ring at the top of a volcano, an underwater volcano, and he was right. And that man, ladies and gentlemen, was Charles Darwin. Very clever man. It wasn't actually proven right for many, many years afterwards, but he was right. Anyway, let's move on. So yeah, we've got kind of like the core tension here, and I think Goose Springsteen stepped on this as well. Like, you've got the moral reality of the forced expulsion, the colonial wrongdoing, and the advisory opinion from the UN and the International Court of Justice. We've also got the strategic reality, which is that Diego Garcia is militarily invaluable. The Indo-Pacific competition is intensifying, and there are tensions in Iran. Can't deny that. Tensions created by Trump, by the way. I mean, the Iranian regime is a fuck of a regime, and I fucking hate the Iranian regime. I think I hate the Iranian regime to the same degree that I love the Iranian people. The people of Iran are the sweetest, kindest, most lovely people you will ever hope to meet. Not all of them. I guess a few of them are dicks, but I never met them when I was there. I just met the most lovely, hospitable people I could possibly hope to ever meet. So yeah, the Iranian regime, shite, but made shiter by the fact that they don't have a deal with America at the moment when it comes to military grade plutonium, and that's a worry. That's a worry. Anyway, so the political reality of this all is that Trump uses the issues that we're having for rhetorical dominance, and the UK opposition weaponizes it. Refuck and the Tories, and Mauritian sovereignty claim is I mean, you may disagree with it, and some Chagossians do disagree with it, but it is internationally backed. And after the scramble for Africa and the era of colonialism, which don't get that mixed up with the era of sovereignty, by the way, slavery. The era of slavery had kind of petered out during the mid-19th century, and then it was the late 19th century that you really had this fucking craze for colonialism. What triggered that? Quinine, gin and tonic. Because up to that point, whenever white people tried to set up a colony somewhere, especially in anywhere near the equator, they fucking died. They fucking died of disease nearly every fucking time, and because of malaria. And other tropical diseases that we had no protection against. But then we got quinine, and that gave us a little bit of protection against malaria. And then suddenly there was a scramble. There was a scramble for Africa in particular. Miss Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Indeed, what is not often appreciated today is that Darwin started his academic life in geology. Yeah. And he ended it studying fucking worms, didn't he? Like, after he wrote the Origin of Species, which he sat on for 20 years because he didn't want to upset the Christians. He spent the rest of it, like his later years, just studying earthworms. He was a bit obsessive. But yeah, very, very clever man. Very clever man. And very dedicated as well. Incredibly dedicated. Sheffield Steve says, I'm happy now. I've received my copy of Landslide by Tony Clark on vinyl. It's getting blasted out of my stereo laser. My stepdaughter has a bunch of vinyls. She's got like Taylor Swift vinyls, and she's got who's the little one? Sabrina Carpenter and stuff. She hasn't got a record player. She hasn't even got a CD player. She's got like CDs, because like the collectible CDs, but she's got nothing to play them on. So don't tell her, but for her birthday this year, I'm definitely getting a turntable, little stereo thing with I can play MP3s, do Bluetooth, got a CD player and a record player, so she can actually play them. I don't know if she will, because if you buy something as a collectible, do you play it? Like, do you play it? Because you could scratch the record. I don't know. I bet Darwin had ADHD. Yeah, I think he did as well. Hyperfocus. Or at least he might have been autistic as well. There was someone who wrote, like, these people collecting Pokemon were 100 years ago, where they were who were collecting like 100 different types of butterfly in their back garden and documenting them all. They were the same type of person. Gotta catch them all. Yuri Infectinov, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. I had malaria after visiting Harare. Kicked out the mortal shit out of me. I took anti-malarials, says Yuri. Yeah, you don't want to get malaria, mate. It's not good. It's bad air. The name malaria comes from bad air, because they didn't realize there was a connection between mosquitoes and malaria till only about the turn of the 20th century. I think it was. I might be wrong on this, so you are free to correct me, but I think that the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine had a big hand in making the connection between mosquitoes and the spread of the malaria virus. For a long time, they thought it was bad air. Miasma. There's another word for it. Miasma. They thought that Cholera was spread by miasma, by foul air. So you smelt something foul, and then in the process of smelling that foulness, going back even further, they thought that the plague was spread by the smell of foulness. Which in a way it was kind of thing. They were sort of skirting around the right idea, but they didn't realize about, viruses and infections and germs and parasites and things like that. Malaria is a parasite. Malaria is not a is not a virus. It's not a disease. It's a parasite. Yeah, which can only be spread by the female mosquito. So if you're in a room in Harare and you hear a mosquito flying around, I think that's the male. I think the males make noise, but the females don't. The females are silent. So they're the silent killers, because they're the ones who'll give you malaria. And dengue fever and yellow fever and Japanese encephalitis and elephantitis and Nile River fever. And oh my God, there's so many vectors. There's so many things that that mosquitoes spread. They are evil little bastards. Mosquitoes, but also necessary for pollination in certain parts of the world. So you can't get rid of them all. Malaria made me sweat harder than Trump when he's further than 5 foot from a loo. I still have the same turntable my mum bought me for my birthday from Superfi. Who remembers Superfi stores? Ooh, don't remember them. Remember Rumbelows? I remember Rumbelows. You could rent a television. What's that smell? My asthma. Very good. I like that. Anyway, so just going to finish off talking about Chagos Islands. But I'm just trying to explain the situation and how it doesn't help that Trump wades in with his fucking size 10s, and he says from his point of view, this whole thing is leasing leasing the base off the Mauritians is a weakness. But from Starmer's calculation, the lease plus sovereignty transfer secures the base in the long term. It'll stop the legal issues that are going on. It covers them internationally because they're doing what the UN and the International Court of Justice has asked them to do. It also prevents Mauritius turning towards Russia, and Mauritius is a member of the Commonwealth. It's an English-speaking country. It's a bit odd. It's an English reading but French. It's an English speaking but French reading country, as it was described to me. So it's kind of like there's a bit of it that is like that most people there who live there are bilingual between English and French, and that's all part of the history. The capital is Port Louis, named after Louis the whatever 14th, 15th, 16th, I don't know. The just the culture there is just very laid back and chill. Do you know what I mean? They're not angry all the time, not running around trying to blow shit up and cause trouble. And if you're gonna gift that archipelago to anyone in the area, kind of okay, Mauritius, it's the least bad option as far as I'm concerned. But you got to find a pragmatic solution to a colonial hangover. A decision that was made in the 1960s that had nothing to do with anyone who's in charge of anything anymore. Britain has learned again that it can't rely on the US, and the special relationship is a fucking joke. And the US can pivot this fast, like from one day to the next, on something that that's a strategic, operational matter. What happens when we have a real crisis? What happens when we have a proper nightmare? What happens if we get attacked? Is Trump's America going to be there for us? Is Trump-Menistan going to be there for us? I don't think so. I mean, Diego Garcia's history is one of exploitation and secrecy and strategic expediency. It's legal ambiguity. And now we've added into that mix a volatile White House, a divided British political class, and an unresolved colonial legacy, where Britain still hasn't got over its loss of its fucking empire, which we lost we lost it 70, 80 years ago. what do you want me to do? You know, India's having its 80th. India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh are going to be celebrating their 80th anniversary of independence from the British. Bangladesh has 2 Independence Days, you know. It has one where it celebrates the independence from the British, and there's one where it celebrates independence from Pakistan. True story. This is why it winds me up when people talk about like Brexit being our Independence Day, and I'm like, read a book. But yeah, sometimes I feel like patient zero. Oh God. Will Millennia's film get a DVD release? I don't know. So let's just talk about something else that I wanted to mention today, which was the refuck fuckers. Obviously, I did a thing yesterday. Breaking news! Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has been arrested. OMG! This has just happened now. Live reporting from the BBC 2 minutes ago. He has been arrested. Oh my giddy ants. Wow. Okay. All right. I might have to change the thumbnail on this episode of the show. So I'm getting the information for you now. Wow. Wow. That has just happened now. He has been arrested. I'm having to put this onto my socials because obviously this is kind of very, very big news. This is very big news, breaking news. Now we'll have a look at it together. If you just give me a moment to get that set up, and I'm sure you will because you're lovely like that. We'll go over to the papers, and that's set up for the papers. There he is there, Mountbatten, but obviously that's yesterday's news. So I'll bring over the BBC page here, and there we have breaking news. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. The BBC understand. That's all we're getting. That is all we're getting for the breaking news. That Andrew has been arrested. OMG. That is kind of crazy. That is nuts. That is nuts. Wow. Wow. Okay, so there you go. That was. Do you know what? I was quite lucky that I saw that because I don't normally have the BBC refreshing, but I wanted to find something out about the conference the other day because I was going to point out, not the conference, the thing where Farage came out on stage with his new cabinet. I wanted to just have a laugh at it because it was so ridiculous that he came out and what's her name? That the horrible woman, Cruella Braverman came out. And she goes, I'm going to be the Minister for Equalities. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to scrap the Equality Act. And I want to make a big thing about this because, yeah, that means they can sack you for getting pregnant. That means they can sack Catherine for being deaf. Your employer can do that. That's what they want. That's what the refuckers want. Anyone who has a daughter, a sister, a mother, anyone who knows someone who's disabled or a different ethnic minority, someone who's from a different religious background, someone who's even from a different class background, they want it set up so you can be sacked for being working class, for sounding too common and fuzzy. Scuzzy, maybe. Not fuzzy. We're not peaches. Reform are down 20 to 24% in the latest poll. This is due to Polanski providing an alternative for protest votes with the Greens up to 18%. Labour must adopt greenish policies. Yeah, I think there's something in that, Peter Paint-a-Lot. There are certain things that Labour could steal from the Greens. And I know that's a bit, you shouldn't really steal off your opposition, but misconduct in public office, not for being a nonce. They can't do it for being a nonce. That's the problem. The crime was we don't have a statute of limitation on those kinds, but actually, unless we had cooperation with the Americans, it would be very difficult to get him on that. And we're not going to get cooperation from the Americans because the guy in charge of America right now is a sex pest himself. So, my husband had to put up Andrew when he was helicopter training at RAF Culdrose in Cornwall. He used to think it was a laugh to slip away from security and go into town and get plastered. US TV is about to explode, says Miss Paula Thomas. Yeah, indeed. Wow, this is the thing. How come you could see my chat, but it didn't show on the screen in Graham's chat? I'm on the top chat, so if you look at the little tab at the top, there's top chat and there's live chat. So live chat will show all messages pretty much. Top chat filters out some messages. It's voodoo. It's voodoo. I don't know. And SG says, wow, oh my God, yes. Now arrest Trump. They're not going to arrest Trump. They're not going to arrest anyone in America. We might see some justice over here, but we're certainly not going to see it in America. But Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Photos show cars arriving at the Sandringham estate in Norfolk earlier this morning. So yeah, he's been arrested. That's it. He's hopefully he's going down because he fucking did it. Him and Mandelson. Right, Mandelson next, please. Mandelson next. You cannot carry on this fucking ridiculous charade of being able to represent Britain and meanwhile fuck Britain over. This is interesting. So if we go to the Guardian site over here, go away with you. This is what we're up against. Go away. Too many pop-ups, Guardian. Stop it with the pop-ups. I love you, but stop it. Well, I don't love you. You're a pain in the arse. Nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing on the. This must be a BBC exclusive because there's nothing on the Guardian site here except a couple of adverts for hinges. I love it when you buy something online and then it decides for the rest of your life that you're going to need that thing that you actually bought. Politics Live, Cabinet Office. This is about Romeo or Romero. Is it Romeo or Romero? Antonia Romero, privately educated, of course, who is going for a job with Starmer, and she's been appointed. She's been appointed. Antonia Romero as cabinet secretary, replacing Chris Wormold, who was in effect sacked after just a year on the job. US TV is about to explode, says Ms. Paula Thomas. It is indeed. I can't quite believe that the Guardian's not on this already. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's been 8 minutes since it was announced. That is crazy. Should we have a look at some other sites to see if we can spot what else can we have here? We've got US prepared to strike Iran. No headlines. No. It's honestly it's just the BBC. It's just the BBC. Wow. They're the only ones with the info. South Korea convicts ex-president Yoon Suk Yeol for insurrection and sentenced to life in prison. Turned out to be a fuck around, find out kind of day. Loving it, says SG. Yep. When justice is finally fucking done. Starmer appoints Dame Antonia Romero. She gets to be a dame because she went to posh school, you see. What else have we got in here? Pupils with SEND to have support reviewed after primary leaked plans suggest. Okay, cool. I mean, I hope when they say review, they're not reviewing it to like get rid of it, but to give the kids the actual targeted assistance that they require. And it can change. And just because you were diagnosed with one thing at a certain age doesn't mean it can't morph into something else or become something else or become a bigger problem or become less of a problem later on. So, any kind of interaction between children and the people who are there to help is probably a good thing. I hope this isn't going to be used, weaponized as a way of stopping SEND pupils from getting the assistance that they require. But I don't have a problem with reviewing it. Oh, what a shame. Andrew being arrested on his birthday. Is it his birthday today? Oh my God, is that really true? Let me. I'm going to look it up. That's brilliant. That is fantastic. I can't believe this is happening online. Yes, 19th of February. It's his birthday. That is amazing. OMG, it's his birthday. Birthday to Laughy Face. Laugh. There we go. Happy birthday, mate. Get yourself arrested. Okay, brilliant. Well, that you know what they got Al Capone on tax evasion. They didn't get it on him killing all those people. They got him on tax evasion. If they get him, they get him. You know, the walls of the jail cell look exactly the same, whether you're done for one crime or another. Misconduct in public office, that comes with a hefty fucking jail sentence. You know that can be a life jail sentence in this country? A life jail sentence? He could spend the rest of his life behind fucking bars at His Majesty's... Well, he's lived his whole life at His Majesty's pleasure, or Her Majesty's pleasure, for many years. That is crazy. On his fucking birthday. On his birthday. Happy birthday, Andrew. Andrew's birthday surprise. Here you go, mate. Have a fucking bag full of Schadenfreude. I think you get done as well. I mean, the evidence looks pretty fucking bleak, doesn't it? From the Epstein files, that he was basically giving away state secrets, just like Mandelson was. So there you go. Oh, we got some memberships that have been handed out like candy on the Three Kings Day in a Latin American country. We got... thank you very much, Viper Scott. That is very, very kind of you. I just want to say, Viper Scott, you're the best. You're the best. You're the best. Thank you. We've got Fat Panda Cat. We've got Bob McFiggin. Richard Marsden. Hi, Richard. We've got Ronaldo. Luis Pedroso. And we've also got the Shouty Bloke in all capitals. I love that name. I love that name. The fact that it's all in capitals is fucking awesome. So welcome to the channel. Welcome. You are all awesome. You will now, for the next month, get a little rose after your name if you leave a comment. Feel free to leave a comment. And also, you'll get your name in the credits when I refresh them at the end of the show. And you'll also get access to the Discord server. Go to the post section of this channel, and there is a post that only members can see, which will give you the link to the Discord server. Please don't sell it to the Russians. You can pretend to sell it to the Russians, but please don't actually sell it to the Russians. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention on this matter. There's been a police statement that has just been released, so we'll go over to this now. As part of the investigation today, on his birthday, we have today arrested a man in his 60s from Norfolk on suspicion of misconduct in public office and are carrying out searches at addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk. The man remains in custody at this time. We will not be naming the arrest man as per national guidance. Please also remember that this case is now active, so care should be taken with any publication to avoid being in contempt of court. Assistant Chief Constable Oliver Wright said, following a thorough assessment, we have now opened an investigation into this allegation of misconduct in public office. It is important we protect the integrity and objectivity of our investigation as we work with our partners to investigate this alleged offence. We understand the significant public interest in this case and will provide updates at the appropriate time. So, cars were seen in Sandringham. We don't have a picture of that, but at the moment we still don't know which force has arrested Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Well, obviously it was the Thames Valley Police. Yeah, London Police, I guess. At the moment, we don't know who. I love they put this at the moment. We don't know who arrested them at 10:09, and at 10:10, the police statement in full comes out. Let's see if the Guardian has refreshed. Yes, there we go. Breaking news. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor arrested at Sandringham home. There's a smiling man there. He looks quite happy. And he has been arrested. There you go. The man remains in police custody at this time. Police are assessing allegations. Sorry, I'll make that a bit bigger for you. Police are assessing allegations that Mountbatten Windsor, formerly known as Prince Andrew, shared sensitive information with the billionaire child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein when he was a UK trade envoy. Well, there you go. More details soon. It's all kicking off. The Andrew formerly known as Prince. Let's keep calling him Prince Andrew, though, because, fun. But I think it's time, my friends, to head over to the papers. It seems a bit out of date now, doesn't it? It seems like we're doing yesterday's news. Oh, Viper Scott has put in the chat the little picture of me, which you can get if you're a member. I don't know if you can do it normally, but if you're a member, you can make that appear. Is that the way it works? If you press colon, type in colon, Graham colon, you get a little picture of me, and also we've got the different coloured roses there as well. Betty's sweating now, says Fat Canda Fat Cat. Sorry, thank you. You're the best. Fat Panda Cat, who's now a member of the channel and has a little rose after their name. Betty's sweating now. Listen, thank you so much, and just want to say thank you for setting off the confetti cannon. Woo! Confetti! Very, very, very exciting for those of us who love our confetti. So I'm just going to reset that for you. I'll start another girl. Brilliant. Quote unquote Prince Andrew. So that's a few good bits of news today, you know. Britain faces 1936 moment. Defence chiefs warn PM. Ex-ministers and former military leaders invoke spectre of World War II as they accuse Starmer of not being honest on MOD spending. And then we've got the why after 4 failed marriages I've tied the knot again at 79. This kind of annoys me, right? Not that she's getting married again. You know, if Janet Street Porter wants to get married, that's cool. You know, whatever. If she wants to get married again at the age of 79, you know, nice. You know, live your best life. No problem with that. My problem is the way this is framed. After 4 failed marriages, we keep doing this as humans. We need to stop doing this, okay? Right? We need to stop looking at the end of things and going, that makes the whole thing, right? Okay? Right? If you have a marriage and it's really lovely for 10 years or 20 years or 30 years or whatever, and then it falls apart at the end, right? You still had those years. If you have a business and for 15 years, you make shitloads of money from the business, but then at the end of the business, because things go wrong, or you lose some suppliers, or the people move out of town, or whatever, or your business becomes obsolete because you do something like, I don't know, maybe you sell carburetors and all the cars turn to fuel injection, or maybe you sell fuel injection systems and all the cars become electric, or whatever, right? People concentrate on the failure and say, oh, that was a failure. No, the whole thing wasn't a failure. It failed at the end, but everything does. Everything dies. The iron law of fucking entropy. And don't say it's a failed marriage just because it didn't last till your fucking death. Because in a way, isn't that a fucking failed marriage? Because, you know, it ended in heartbreak by someone fucking dying. I mean, would you call it a failed marriage if your partner died and then you remarried and then you look back at that, you know, that your first marriage and said, oh, well, that was a failed one? And I completely understand if it is a toxic relationship, right? I think that is different. I think that is very different from looking back at a relationship or a business venture or just something you tried to do, an artistic endeavor. You know, at least you had those good years. And I wish we would stop concentrating on the negative. And I know this is me being an old fucking hippie and going, yeah, you know, everyone should just get along. But there's so much good out there. There's so much fun. Don't concentrate on the fact that you know, it didn't work out. Concentrate on the fact, you know, when you look back on life, you'll be looking back on the things that worked and things that, you know, brought you joy. And yeah, even if it, in the end, you know, it's like saying, I can't be happy that I had a dog because the dog died. It's like, well, no, I know the dog died. No, that's tragic and it's horrible. And I've been there myself and shed tears, you know. But it doesn't take away the good times. It doesn't take away the fact that we did have that time together. And that goes with humans, goes with pets, goes with anything that we do in life. Can we stop concentrating on the end? Because everything ends in tragedy. Everything ends. Everything, everywhere, every time, everyone ends. 6 feet under. So yeah, just saying. But you know, enjoy, live your best life. Janet Street Porter up there. 9 police forces probe Epstein claims as pressure mounts for full inquiry. And there's Andrew there going in his I don't sweat face. We've got the Times here with Caitlin Moran's Celebrity Watch. I couldn't give less of a shit. And fat jabs divide. It's a middle-class drug. Well, most drugs are middle-class, mate, if you think about it. Children face review of right to special needs support at 11. Children will have the legal right to special needs support reviewed under new stricter criteria when they move to secondary school under plans that could lead to fresh Labour rebellion. Ministers will announce an overhaul of the special educational needs and disabilities system to scale back rigid statutory requirements that have led to costs soaring. Yeah, I honestly, being a stepdad myself, right, I kind of welcome this. Honestly, if kids are assessed at 7 and then they're not assessed again, I think that's ridiculous. And that is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm not talking about this as a cost-cutting measure. I'm talking about this for the children. I think when they go into secondary school, it's a very different environment, secondary school, and it can affect their mental state a lot, and the circle of friends and what they do, and their activities, what they're exposed to on the internet, etc. It can change their needs. So fine, assess them when they get into secondary school, see how they're getting on, and change the regime accordingly. Please, yeah. Anyway, Viper Scott feeling very generous this morning, as though we've got something to celebrate. Thank you very much for the 5 Politics Social with Graham Hughes gift memberships. It's very, very kind of you, my friend. Thank you. And now we have Mouselander. I am a Mouselander. I like that. We've got Alex French. Pop will eat itself. We've also got Ty Harvard. Ty Harvard. Or Tal, is it? It's an I. Ty Havard. We've got Elvin Archer and Rob M. Jones have all been granted a gift membership. That is very, very cool. Welcome new members. Welcome one, welcome all. 10 new members. This is very cool. Viper Scott says, welcome new members. Enjoy your membership on this happy day. Yeah. What a way to celebrate your birthday. What a way to celebrate your birthday. That is immense. That is very, very, very cool. So yes, I'm just gonna copy that link. Sorry, I've just gotta send this. Okay, so we're gonna head back over to the papers now. We'll start getting distracted. What's happening with Prince Andrew? Let's see if there's any updates. Image from Sandringham, we've seen that. Significant developments on Andrew's connections with Epstein. Hard to think of any precedent for this arrest. Charles I. There was always Charles I. It's an extraordinary development in what has been an extraordinary story. It's hard to think of any precedent for the arrest of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the King's brother. Andrew has consistently denied any wrongdoing, but this still has the capacity to shock and surprise as breaking news. The BBC were on it first. Listen, right? Can we just talk about the BBC for a moment? I know this might seem a little bit boring and a little bit of a segue, but we need to protect the BBC. And I know that the BBC has done our collective heads in. I have several friends now, who, including myself, who regard ourselves as being fucked over by the BBC personally, in one capacity or another. However, it is not owned by Elon Musk. It is not owned by Jeff Bezos. It's not owned by that fucking gobshite who's decided to buy, Paramount. It's not owned by Murdoch. It's not owned by Lord Rothermere. It's not owned by the Barclay brothers. I mean, brother. It's not owned by some fucking right-wing billionaire gobshite. If they privatize it, it will be. It will be. Like, that's the plan. They want to, all of the Tories, all of the right-wingers, the fuckers, all that lot, they want to privatize the BBC so one of their tech billionaire mates from Saudi fucking Arabia can fucking buy it. And then turn it into what the fuck, I don't know, what CBS has become over in America, where they're telling people who they're allowed to have on their late night show. And they have someone who is not from the political party that they represent. They're going to, say, oh, you can't go on anymore on Paramount. There are certain safeguards in the BBC, and I know it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I know I fuck up on an almost daily basis, and I know that the BBC politics side of things is horrifically biased towards Nigel Farage and the Tories. It's especially when they have their old private school alumni friends like Kunzberg and others interviewing their old school chums and saying, would it be okay if I give your belly a rub? I get that. But at the same time, we need to defend the independence of the BBC. I mean, with all that we can. And that also goes for ITN. It also goes for Channel 4 as well, Channel 4 News. We need these things to stay out of the hands of the tech billionaires because we know what they'll do with them. We've seen it. We've seen it with Fox News. We've seen it with the what's that disgusting thing that people used to put messages on X. We've seen it with Twitter turning into an absolute fucking sewer. Significant developments. Oh, thank you, darling. It's been handed a cup of coffee from my beautiful partner in crime. The top's on wrong. It's going to take me a minute. Get into this motherfucker. Right. Trump pulls his support for Chagos Island deal. PM has surrendered to wokeism, says President, which I read out earlier today. I'm just taking this apart, by the way, in case you wondered what that noise was. We've got scene set up, Making Life on Earth. Attenborough's Greatest Adventure is one of 3 BBC programmes for the 100th birthday in May of Sir David Attenborough. His encounter with gorillas in Rwanda is one of the most famous TV natural history scenes. I think it's one of the most famous TV scenes in history. Who was it who wanted to put him in room 101? Was it Ollie? He said, living treasures. We can't have... Eighth Force joins Epstein file investigation. That's the same story on the other newspaper there. We've got the Daily Telegraph here. What really happens to stolen phones in lawless London? Fucking traitorous bastards putting that about our fair capital, calling it lawless. It's lawless because you have all the foreigners living there. Do not give away Chagos. Trump tells Starmer. We've got... sorry, I'm just clicking that back together. British technology helped Putin destroy my home. A Kyiv resident, Yana Kudjo, there, 15, pictured with her cat, Kosik, had her home destroyed in April last year by a Russian ballistic missile. The Telegraph can reveal that the type of missile used in the attack contains British-made microchips, raising fears of the use of UK technology in the war. Anyway, our ex-army chiefs, number 10, dishonest in defence. NHS hip operations cancelled for months. Designer dogs at the same breathing risk as pugs. Oh, can we hone in on this particular story? I want to hone in on it. Oh, but before we do, JC has waded in with a £10 super chat. Thank you so much, JC. That's very kind of you. Farage's pro-Putin talking points in the European Parliament mirrored his MEP colleague Gill's, who confessed, just saying, yeah, couldn't agree more, JC. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like he said pretty much exactly the same thing as Nathan Gill, who was the leader of fucking Wales. And also an MEP who stood up and he said, the Ukrainians deserve to be invaded. Like the absolute gobshite he is. So just to go back to the papers for a minute, I want to bring up this story here because I think it's really important that people know this. Designer dogs at the same breathing risk as pugs. Chihuahuas are at risk of the same breathing difficulties as pugs, a study has shown. Between 25 to 50% of the handbag dogs once sported as accessories by celebrities, including Paris Hilton, display symptoms of brachiopathic obstructive airway syndrome, commonly diagnosed in pugs, bulldogs, and French bulldogs. The condition, which causes the dog to wheeze and overheat when exercises, can significantly shorten their lifespan. Right. Okay, I'm going to get on my high horse, right? Can I get on my high horse? I'm sorry for any owners out there of pugs and bulldogs and things, right? I understand that you love your dogs, and this isn't your fault. This isn't your fault. But what humans have done to the Asiatic grey wolf is fucking disgusting. We have bred and inbred these animals, these majestic animals that used to run through the forests of the night, hunting in packs. We have turned them into a fucking joke. And it's a sick joke at that, because overbreeding and inbreeding has caused, for certain traits, has caused these animals to live an entire lifetime in pain, gasping for breath in the case of pugs and bulldogs, and apparently chihuahuas as well. But in the case of King Charles Spaniels, their brain is too big for their brain cage. Their skull isn't big enough to fit their brain. As a result of that, they live their life with a lot of them, not all of them, not all the time, but a lot of them live with near constant migraines, which they cannot complain about because they're a dog. They can't say, fuck, my head hurts. We have Rhodesian Ridgeback dogs, right? Which the puppies that don't have the ridge are killed because they want the ridge. They want the ridge back. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of the breed. That ridge is equivalent to scoliosis. It means that dog lives with incredible back pain their entire lives. You have the sloping back of an Alsatian. That's not good. That is not a good trait for a dog to have. It means that, again, especially once they get older, they live in a lot of pain and they can't tell people that they're living in pain. So what's the moral of this story? Fucking buy a mongrel or get a mongrel from the shelter, okay? Please do not buy pure pedigree dogs, because so many of them live a life of agony. And dogs are very, very stoic animals, and they will give you love and affection no matter what. It's why psychopaths love to have a dog, because in the Bond films or whatever, it's always the cat, right? I don't think that a baddie would have, like someone who's a psychotic fucking, multi-billionaire bent on world destruction. I don't think they'll have a cat. Cats are too independent. Cat will just fuck off, and Mr. Bigglesworth will go and find some other leg to rub against. Whereas dogs can be really, really mistreated and still come back. Cats, some cats do this, but generally speaking, if you mistreat a cat, it will fuck off because it's got other options. Some cats get fed by 4 different houses who all think they own the same cat. It just spends a few hours in each place. So yeah, I just as a public plea, right? Please don't buy pure breeds. Try and get yourself a mongrel. Get yourself a dog, because the dog's health has got to come first over your own, over your ego. Sorry to say it, but over the ego going, look at my cool dog. Look at this dog. Isn't it really cool? It's like, well, not if it's in a lot of pain. Not if it's suffering. Not if these breeders, who some of them are fucking unscrupulous, have been breeding granddaughters with their grandfathers in order to create a gene pool of dogs, which is, I think the gene pool for I think it's bulldogs, like proper British bulldogs. It's shrunk so much. It's shrunk so much that we're pumping out what are almost fucking clones, So yeah, we've also got what else have we got on the papers here? Now that I've finished my little bleat, SG, thank you very much for the £5 super chat, mate. Everyone's being very generous today. It's like we've got something to celebrate. Peed off Twitlers are gonna wake up and hear the news and start a war, isn't he? What, the news about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor being arrested? Nah, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. And just to continue the celebratory theme, today is Andrew's 66th birthday. I love the way that was pointed out by our chat before the BBC. About like 20 minutes before the BBC picked up on that one. Arrest, not an indication of guilt, but a long way from life as a prince. Of course, this arrest should not be seen as any indication of guilt, and there are no charges yet. Andrew has consistently denied any wrongdoing, but that no-nonsense police statement seems like a bluntly worded news earthquake. The man remains in police custody at this time. So he's not just being taken in for questioning, my friends. He has been fucking arrested. JC, thank you for the super chat and thank you for standing up on this issue, because honestly, it breaks my heart. You know, I love dogs and, you know, I love cats as well because I'm a bit like that. But I mean, my dog Campesino, when I lived on my island, like for 3 years, it was just me and my dog, pretty much. You know, we had visitors now and again, but the only constant, he was my constant. I love that dog. £10 super chat. Thank you so much. The Kennel Club actually practice eugenics with dogs for decades with cruel results. Yeah. Yeah. If you get a Kennel Club manual from the Victorian era, they have sketches of how dogs should look. And the dogs drawn in those pictures look very different from their modern counterparts. Very different indeed. Because they went, okay, well, a bulldog's going to have a nose that's like pushed into its face. And then they bred and bred and bred. So it got closer and closer and closer and made it so it closed up those airwaves and meant that every breath, if anyone out there has asthma, right? You know how it feels when your airways close up and you need to get your ventilator inhaler and you're trying to breathe and you're gasping for air. That is their life. That is their entire life. And it's so cruel. It is like creating life just for it to suffer, which is so fucked up. And it's difficult to tell people this, especially if they have one of these animals themselves, one of these dogs, right? It's difficult to tell people this because it's like telling them that the baby's ugly or their tattoo looks shite, because it is tied in with their sense of self and their ego and then, you know, their sense of fucking moral justice in the universe, and people get very, very upset. So I'm just saying this generally. I'm not saying if you have got one of these dogs that you're a bad person. I don't think that you are. I just feel like if you have the choice whether to spend money on a dog, if you've got the choice whether or not to spend money on a dog or not, then I think that you should definitely go to a rescue place and get a rescue and save your money. Go and have a drink instead. So there you go. Fucking Kennel Club. Disgusting. Okay, so we've got any more? No, we've just got today's Andrew's 66th birthday. Can I release the confetti early? Can I release early confetti? Because this is quite fun. This is just a celebratory confetti. This is not to do with the super chats, but I think it's important that. Yay! Happy birthday! Happy birthday, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. You nasty little shit. You terrible man. You terrible, terrible man. Enjoy spending your birthday in a fucking jail cell. Oh, yes. It's all good. Right, back to the papers. We've got the Daily Telegraph front page here. Mountain victim not left to die by boyfriend. The mother of a woman whose boyfriend is accused of leaving her to freeze to death on the highest mountain in Austria has hit out of the witch hunt against him. Wow. So the mother of the victim, or the person who died, has said that this, and there's a little cartoon here of the serious royal squad going to Sandringham to go and pick up Andrew. They're a bit prophetic, that Matt. Don't like Matt. He's not my favourite cartoonist because he's a right-wing twat. But Matt, the right-wing twat. Reeves, no more cash at spring statement. Rachel Reeves is opposing virtually all demands for changes to tax and spending in her upcoming spring statement. So there you go, my friends. That's going to happen or whatever. There is a mad story here on the front cover of the Daily Mirror. Tony Martin, no relation to Tim Martin, but he gave £2.5 million to the pub landlady. He was a bit well off, wasn't he? Considering he fucking murdered someone. If you could turn back time, you see what they've done there, because his name's Beckham, I think, and instead of back time, and that woman he's with needs to eat a sandwich. Jesus Christ. Okay, we've got China's dancing robots. How worried should we be? Incredibly worried. The battle, all Brit, no pop in Blair versus Oasis drama. I mean, if you can't play the music of the time, what's the point? Sites could be blocked over revenge porn and deep fakes. PM to give platforms 48 hours to delete abusive and sexualized images. 48 hours. Fuck that. 46 minutes. 48 hours, 46 minutes. 48 hours. No, 46 fucking minutes. No, actually, 46 seconds. That should be it. 46 seconds, or they start getting fined $1 million a minute. That anything is put anywhere on their site that is against the law. That's what we should do. I'm going to pour this into this. The reason being, first of all, I want to know if they are the same. They are. But secondly, it cools down a bit quicker in this one. Otherwise, it's going to be this coffee that's been handed to me is going to be too hot to drink. Oh God, it's still too hot. Ooh, just burnt my mouth. Miss Paula Thomas, woohoo! £10 super chat. Thank you. The question in my mind, which address in Berkshire is being searched, would it be a castle? Also, NBC now has a story with a decent report on the NBC News website. Thank you very much to Paula. I need to have like Ozymandias in Watchmen. That's what I need. I need a screen. I need like a load of screens, load of TV screens, and I've got all the news in front of me, flashing up on all these different screens on the wall behind the computer here. That'll be cool. That'll be cool. And I'll go one step ahead of everybody. I love that in Watchmen. I mean, obviously the comic is a lot better than the actual film, but I love the fact that Ozymandias gives away like his plan, and they're like, "We're gonna stop you doing this," and he's like, "No, I did it. I did it 15 minutes ago. I'm not gonna stand here monologuing if I hadn't already done it." Anyway, so taking the stand, Zuckerberg takes a stand in landmark trial. The Meta boss Zuckerberg arrives at Los Angeles court yesterday for a hearing on social media addiction, which obviously they are fueling. Gaza death toll, 25,000 higher than estimated. Oh, Jesus Christ. Trump, Starmer making big mistake over Chagos Islands. We've covered that already. Proof Starmer does not care about victims of rape. This is Ellie Reynolds, who I think is part of, I think she's got associations, and I don't want to cast false suspicions if this isn't true, but I think she has connections with Refuck. So it's in her interest to make the government look shit. I think. I don't know. I'm gonna look this up. She was one of the people who quit the there was a press conference with her and Farage. So basically she had a press conference in October last year with Farage. So this is political, and look, what happened to her was fucking disgusting and absolutely disgraceful and horrific, but her pops at the government that she's having might not necessarily come from a place of wanting justice for herself and the other victims of grooming gangs. It might come from a place of wanting Nigel Farage to be our next prime minister. So if that's the case, it's a bit grim. It's a bit fucking grotesque, to be honest with you. Reforms promise to defuse benefits bomb bankrupting UK. Okay, I've said this before, and I'll say it again, loudly so the people in the cheap seats can hear. Pensions are a benefit. Just little message for the pensioners out there. Obviously, they don't want the pensions. They don't feel like they deserve them. New Northern Rail links closer than ever as billions of pounds unlocked. Burnham says overhaul should finally give our projects a fairer hearing. Please do that. Please sort out our fucking railways. On Sunday, last Sunday, it took me over. Last Saturday when I came back from Liverpool to Durham, it took over 3.5 hours to get back here from Liverpool. 3.5 hours on the train. Like, driving, it takes 2.5 hours if I take the motorway. If I take the scenic route on the A66, it takes 3 hours. And that's stopping for a fucking sausage roll at the services near Tewkesbury. What the fuck is wrong with me today? The Junction 38 services. Not near Tewkesbury. What's the name of that bloody awesome services? Up as you're going up to Scotland in Carlisle. I can't remember now. Oh my god, brain fart. Anyway, that includes stopping for a sausage roll at the Junction 38 truck stop at 3.5 hours, and it cost me 62 quid, 62 fucking quid for a 3.5 hour fucking train ride. Didn't even get a reserved seat, if you can believe it. But then again, the train was fucking empty, probably because it was 60 quid a fucking ticket. And I'll have to tell you a funny story. So I like plants. I like plants. There's another plant over there. And it was Valentine's Day on Saturday, so I thought I'd get Catherine a little plant, a little palm. It was only like this big, you know. And I'm sitting there on the train coming back from Liverpool with my little plant on the table in front of me, and I'm doing the crossword or something. And a woman comes on. She gets on at Leeds, and she's got a fucking rubber tree, and it's like 6 foot tall. I've never seen anyone get on get on a train with a plant before. And the one time that I'm sitting there with this little plant, little love plant. The one time I'm there, someone gets on and not only just gets on the train with this massive fucking plant, actually sits opposite me on the table and puts this massive 6 foot fucking high plant on the seat. It's touching the ceiling. It's touching the roof of the train. That's how high up it is. And I'm just looking at this plant, and I look at my plant, and I look at their plant, and I'm like, you're giving me plant envy here? And everyone's laughing. I'm just like, fucking hell. What are the chances? What are the chances the one time I get on the fucking train with a plant that someone else gets on a train with a much bigger plant and then sits, of all the carriages, of all the trains in the country, sits opposite me. Anyway, fun fact. Okay, so I'm going to head back to the papers now. Let's see if there's any more updates on the BBC. What we still don't yet know, the BBC don't know, the specifics of the allegations being investigated by the police. What information prompted Thames Valley Police to arrest the former prince, where Andrew is currently being held, whether he's being interviewed under caution yet. We do not know. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. We've got Epstein trafficking police in plea for witness in the eye here as Met examines Andrew bodyguard claims. Surrey police urges people with information to come forward about allegations of human trafficking and sexual assault dating back to the 90s that appeared in the Epstein files. I mean, he's probably getting done for the fact that he was a British trade envoy and he was sharing secrets with Epstein, like what Mandelson was doing. But also, yeah, if they can prove that he was involved in Epstein's private jet landing in the UK, I mean, yeah, he might get done. He might get done for sex trafficking. He might. I don't know. Fingers crossed. He might go away for life. Bastard. Julie Birchall, I didn't know disability kink was a thing until it happened to me. And then we've got, I'm a dermatologist. Here's what I really think about collagen. Okay. We've got the Metro here. Rapper taunts government after 2 escapes from bad to verse. I just broke out, says joint smoking, drill performer, jailed for knife robberies and due to be deported. So he's made a video of himself saying he's escaped from jail, which isn't good, is it? We've got Brat leaves sinking ship in Charlie send-up. So apparently Brat is not cool anymore. And Charlie XCX there on the front cover of the newspaper. Privately educated, of course, because she's on the front cover of the newspaper. Lagarde to deport ECB helm early, so Macron and Merz can pick successor. 8-year term to be curtailed. Move likely before French poll. Concern over Eurosceptics rise. This is Christine Lagarde, expected to leave the European Central Bank before her 8-year term as president expired, in order to get someone in who's not going to be in the hock of the far right. We've got the billionaire and the stock lending fraud up here in the big read. MAGA will regret backing Europe's hard right, says Janet Ganesh. I think they, yeah. Regret is a bit of a higher level function, though, isn't it? It's like a higher level emotion. I don't think MAGA is capable of it. British AI scientists target record $1 billion for superhuman intelligence startup. David Silver, one of Britain's Leading AI researchers is raising $1 billion for a new company to build superhuman intelligence. Good luck with that. I hope it can count to 100. Gilt market wary of fiscal rules for defense splurge over there. And then the brief briefing, and I know it's low res, I'm sorry about that. Inflation dip bolsters case for fresh interest rate cut. BAE Systems sales record. Raspberry Pi in AI fever. Ramadan food price push. Coal to bin Qatar air deal. Kyiv Moscow progress in the talks in Switzerland. Tariff report censure sell. The top White House official Kevin Hassett has said Fed economists should be disciplined for a report showing that US businesses and consumers are shouldering the bulk of Trump's tariffs. Yeah, they should be disciplined for telling the truth. JP Morgan in branch blitz. The US bank has said it will open more than 160 branches in more than 30 states this year as part of a multi-billion bet reflecting Americans' enduring fondness for in-person banking. The bunch of bankers. Aren't they all a bunch of bloody bankers? And finally, we have the Independent over here. And a bit of a weird photo on the front of the Independent. They've got, there you go. You've got William Wills having a laugh with these other presenters there, and they're all having a bit of a laugh, which is nice. But also the caption there, how I struggled with my mental health when I was a pilot. It doesn't look like he's struggling with his mental health there. He looks like he's having a laugh. I don't know if the picture goes with the caption. Obsessive and dysfunctional. IFS lays into Reeves. Major blow for councillor despite surprise drop in inflation as top think tank, the Institute for Financial Flux, what's it called? The Institute for Fiscal Studies, has warned that fixation on fiscal rules triggers bad policy decisions and could break her promise to deliver sustainable public finances. And, you know, I think we all agree on this channel that there's no reason to have red lines other than to try and keep the bond markets fucking happy. But when things change, so should people's opinion, I reckon. A clan via reckon. So we'll go back over to the BBC for a moment, because more news coming up. How long can police hold Andrew for? Our colleagues at BBC Radio 5 Lives have been speaking to Danny Shaw, policing commentator, about what Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's arrest actually involves. Shaw says the absolute longest the former prince can be held for is 96 hours, but that would require multiple extensions from senior police officers and a magistrate's court. In most cases, suspects are held for 12 or 24 hours and are then either charged or released pending further investigation. Andrew will be placed in a cell in a custody suite with a bed and a toilet where he will wait until his police interview. Shaw says there'll be no special treatment for him. Happy birthday to you. Enjoy your cell, you massive poo. But there you go. So that's a terrible, terrible, terrible news, which is shocking and terrible news that has certainly not put a spring in my step this morning. Honest gov. The prison palace pet corgi. Paulie Donkey said Graham could have a hard time hearing assistance window to really get the message across. I stopped sorry tonight. Generalissimo Francisco Franco is still dead on Saturday Night Live. Okay. Just to think in all seriousness, the Eyes story was printed around 10ish last night. Let Trump buy Chagos Islands from the people like he's buying palaces. He likes buying places. Yeah, get them all. There's only a few thousand. I mean, he wanted to give everyone. Remember I said about him bribing the people of Greenland? He'll get them all. He'll offer them all $1 million each. I think it was 100,000 last time I looked at it. Probably go up. I believe it's spelled says Andy. I think in that particular voice. We're just laughing at the ex-prince. The ex-prince. I think he should still be a prince. He's still part of the royal family, isn't he? Can't get rid of him that easily. The brother to the king. The king's brother was arrested today. Wait, what? I've got 5 Raspberry Pi and I'm sitting on an AI fortune. Ooh, sort your Raspberry Pi out, mate. We all like a bit of Raspberry Pi, bit of ice cream, bit of Raspberry Pi. Plug it in, USB-C. Everybody's happy. Rachel says, I bet Andrew is sweating now. And £10 super chat from Miss Paula Thomas. Thank you very much. If Andrew is eventually convicted, he'll become the second member of the royal family to get a criminal record. Prince Anne got one after her dogs bit 2 children in Windsor Great Park. Wow. So there you go. Second member to get a criminal record. Thank you very much for the super chat, Paula. And you know what that triggered, don't you? The confetti! Happy birthday! Happy birthday, Andrew, formerly known as Prince Mountbatten. And it appears that your race is won, that you're done, that you are not persona non grata around these parts. And instead of being downgraded to a slightly smaller fucking stately home in Norfolk, I think you're just going to have to, take your licks and possibly go to jail for a very, very long time. Then again, and I don't want to pour cold water on this, but Trump was arrested. Remember that famous mug shot of Trump? He was found guilty of 34 fucking felony counts of being a gobshite. But he still managed to become president of the United States and made all those investigations go away. Hopefully, things will come of this. But if it doesn't, at the very least, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor had a really, really shit 66th birthday. And, it's fair enough, innit? So, in closing, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us this morning on this joyous morning of cool shit going down. Join us tonight at 6 o'clock on this August channel, where me and Ollie will be presenting an episode of Refuck Watch or Reform Watch. We will be, I can't call it Refuck Watch, can I? Because I can't get away with it. Reform Watch with Ed Kimberley, who is a Labour councillor in Worcestershire County Council, and he's going to be talking about his experiences with the gobshites of Refuck. So just so you know who he is just to give you a bit of a clue, because I know we don't necessarily know our councillors round here. If I go over here, there we go. Facebook council leader in legal threat over Facebook videos. The reform leader of Worcester County Council has sent the chairman of Worcester Labour Party a legal threat demanding he stops mentioning her name in public. Worcester City Councillor Ed Kimberley has also been told he faces action if he publishes or shares any more videos, posts or commentary about Reform UK. It follows a series of videos posted online by Kimberley in which he denounced right-wing extremism and called Reform the nasty party. So there you go. Just saying. So that's who we're going to be interviewing tonight about his experiences with Refuck on the council there in Worcestershire. And so if you would like to join us for that, you are very welcome to do so. And in the meantime, my friends, you awesome people of the chat, awesome people watching, awesome people listening, awesome people watching or listening later. Don't forget, this is available as a podcast. You don't have to see this stupid face. I will read out every bit of text on the screen, so you can use this as a podcast while you're, I don't know, jogging around the park. So, prison dentist, open wide and say, ah, says L. So, my friends, I will be back at 6 o'clock tonight. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thanks for watching. Give us a like on the way out. Lick the like. Give the like a lick. A little licky likey. We all like a lick. I mean, we all lick alike. We all look alike. And in the meantime, between now and then, you've got 7 hours to go play, frolic in the autumn mists. So until then, I suppose it's not autumn anymore, is it? Nearly the end of winter. Until I see you again, thank you so much for watching, and happy birthday! Andrew Mountbatten Winter. Compose yourself, Graham. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye. And ha!